Tonight we're going to do a Yogananda chant, and we may do it a little slower than they usually do it, but I hope you can get into the feeling of it. He was a very, very special person, and people all over the world do his chants, and it's an honor to do this one. So just close your eyes, and it's going to be a call and response. So I'll do a line, and then you repeat it. And don't think about what you sound like. Just get the feeling of what's happening. Door of my heart, door of my heart, door of my heart. Open wide I keep for thee. Open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. For this moment come to me. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. Will my days fly away? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of for this moment come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. Will my days fly away? Without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away? Without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? For this moment come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee night and day.
What is the meaning of life? People ask that question. Everyone asks it at some time in their lives. People ask it many times. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is learning to recognize our divinity. So while we may have lived a long time without recognizing that we are divine in origin, there comes those awakenings, if we're open, to recognize our divinity. So everything that appears to be a limitation that we buy into, every physical problem, mental problem, relationship problem that we go through is simply a recognition of the work we have still to do in recognizing our divinity. Because in recognizing our divinity, there is only joy. There is only peace, beautiful, mystical peace. And if we are living in joy and peace, it will be reflected in everything around us. Anyone that isn't participating in that will somehow or other depart from our experience. They will have other things to learn yet to recognize their divinity, because that divinity calls us to a recognition that all minds are in communication. So that's what's missing in the teachings of life. We go to school and we learn many things, but all that we are learning in school is based upon a foundation of illusion. All that we're learning in school bespeaks a separation between all human beings. And by living from that awareness of that separation, we are creating all the conflict, all the suffering, all the pain, all the fear that goes on in the world that is not aware of its divinity. Isn't it easy to understand? I mean, if you don't get anything else from this, if you don't really enter into that divine awareness, isn't it true that every limited negative attack in life could only be so if the attacker believes in the illusion of separation, that what he or she is doing in the process of attacking has no effect upon him or her. It will affect the person or people that are being attacked, but it will not affect me. In truth, that's absolutely impossible. It's absolutely impossible, because we are all on that refined level of awareness connected. And when we get to that refined level of awareness, we recognize that. But isn't it easy to see that all of man's humanity to man must be couched upon that illusion that that which I do, which is negative, fear-driven, you see, cannot touch me. All the terrible things that I might conjure in my mind all the terrible actions that I might take, even against the environment, is couched in the idea that I'm separate and that it can never touch me. Of course it touches us. Do you think that the masters of life that teach over and over again, you are reaping what you sow, but your ignorance has become so dense you don't even recognize that your pain and suffering and conflict are the result of your limited idea of yourself, your limited definition of life? Why don't you just give it up? Why don't you try faith in a big way and see what happens in your life and experiences? That's all there is to it. And the masters aren't going to tell you anything else. Nobody's going to tell you you've been right with all your conflict and suffering and pain and complaining. Nobody's going to say to you, you know what, you're justified. You really are justified. No, you're going to go to Tibet. You're going to find some guru high up in a mountain. And that guru is going to say, you know what, you are justified. Those people that you've been dealing with, they're absolutely deserving of all the condemnation you have really laid upon them throughout your life. Please, please look at the holy books. Okay, look at any of the master's teachings. What all they're trying to get across to us is that you are in fact reaping what you are sowing. The identification that you hold about yourself is relating, reflecting in the life you are living. I say often enough, two people are not living in exactly the same world, because each is living in the world of his or her beliefs. Now, I understand that the spiritual trip, the spiritual journey, begins out of curiosity. So people say, oh, let me see, let me look into this book, or let me try that spiritual center or that church. Let me see. And really, what we're hoping is that there's going to be some miraculous blazing light that's going to deliver us from our suffering, our fear, our pain, our limitations. And that's what we're hoping for, because everything in the outside world is striving day and night for fast food. I don't know if they're still doing this. I don't go to McDonald's at all. But I remember once we were on the road, went to McDonald's. They said that if you don't get your food in 5 minutes, it's going to be free. I guess that drew a lot of people. I don't know if they're still doing that. If you don't get your food in 5 minutes. The problem with that statement is there's no such thing as food being served at McDonald's. I'm sorry. So, I mean, what you're getting there, you get. And if you get it in 5 minutes or you get it in 5 years, it's not going to be very healthful for you. But I will say this. If one takes to task his or her own awareness and decides to pursue the truth of their own divinity, their interconnectedness with all of life, they will prove to themselves that it is in giving that we receive. And so there's the whole crux of life, learning how to live effectively, beautifully, joyfully, peacefully. How do we do that? We become alchemists. Now, I don't know if you all understand what an alchemist is. In ancient times, from ancient beliefs, we came to believe that certain alchemists could take straw or base materials and turn it into gold, or silver. So you take base materials like straw or wood or anything, and they could be able to turn it into gold or silver or something of true value. Well, that's not true. A real alchemist is what we become when we're seriously into our journey. What we do is we take base conditions and we transform them into divine, valuable conditions. So even in the presence of someone who's berating you or who's doing things that are not in keeping with harmony or caring or consideration, we don't respond in like manner. Not anymore. That's for the unenlightened world. That's for the world that's still at war, still stupid, still struggling against the idea that there is a God. They don't really want to know that because it's proving to them that they're involved in self-betrayal. But when you get on the journey, you recognize that this whole teaching about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is absolutely true. And that you should be considerate of those that would work against you. Why? Because you dissolve the illusion of separation, not only in yourself, but in those people as well. Because all minds are in communication. So if you become a true alchemist, what you do is you take base conditions that happen around you. It might happen at the workplace, might happen at McDonald's, who knows? Might happen any place. You take conditions of fear that come your way. Might have to do with doctors saying things or whatever. You see, so here we are. We were in the world of illusions and separation and conflict and fear and pain and stupidity. We were there. And then we say, well, maybe there is something to this whole idea of, we're reaping what we sow. So we get involved in the spiritual journey. We start to do spiritual practice. And we get to that place where we still have conditions where people are saying things or doing things, or fear is rising somewhere. And the old response is to react to it. React to that fear. React to that limitation that's coming at you, that confrontation. But you see, you really want to enter the new dimension of enlightened awareness and the joy of life. So to do that, you have to be courageous enough, faithful enough to pause and not react. Because the ego that we've grown up with and learned to honor and worship, you see, always speaks first. Always wants to react, get even. But if you are on the journey, seriously on the journey, you pause. You pause because you know that you'd rather have peace of mind. You'd rather have harmony. You'd rather have joy. And so because you'd rather have that, and you can't have it if you're going to operate from the illusion. You have to be an alchemist. You have to say, you know what? I can allow this stuff to flow over me and flow away from me, just like a duck, water off a duck's back. I can allow that to happen. So I'm quiet. In that quiet place where you pause, that is the place of absolutely true prayer. And there is no place as true of prayer as the ability when you stop to let the silent guiding presence of God prompt your thoughts and reactions. That's where you surrender to God and say, you know what? I would rather have peace. I'd rather have harmony. I'd rather have love and joy. And I'm going to just allow this to pass by. And then the guiding influence of the presence of God may guide you to do something, to take an action or say something. But it will not be in terms of getting even or proving that you're right or just, fighting back. That's not going to happen because you don't want to continue the illusion of separation. You want to continue the presence of God. So, as long as you are capable and courageous and faithful enough to wait through any type of fear, attack, limited confrontation, condition, they will arise at first a lot in the world you're leaving behind. But they will diminish more and more as you're putting out only compassion, forgiveness, healing, truth, justice. That only makes the universe honorable. Everything you see in the movies and everything that takes place in that outer-directed, illusion-driven, conflicted world of people struggling to be right, to be better, to be bigger, to be smarter, in that world, you see, they honor the separation, they honor the conflict. And so anyone that decides they've had enough of that becomes an alchemist, becomes someone who is capable of deciding, I don't necessarily need to be right. I don't necessarily need to prevail. I don't necessarily need vengeance. I don't need to get even. What I need is peace. What I need is healing. What I need is love. What I need is understanding. And here's the key. Here's the key. The difference between the old illusion-driven world and the world that we are moving into. You see, in the old illusion-driven world, there is a full and complete and utter denial of God. A denial that there's an intelligence greater than mankind's. They live in the whole idea of our technology is going to prove it out. That's what they're saying. We're smart enough to figure it out, to work it out, and to make it happen so it fits our desires and our demands and our this and that. But they will not, as long as they are not seeking the truth, they will not accept that there is a greater intelligence which is omnipresent, everywhere present, everywhere available. When we don't have the feeling of peace and joy and love in wherever we are, it is because I am not present. I'm not present in the awareness of God. I'm not operating from God consciousness. I'm accepting the fear. I'm allowing it to throw me this way and that way. But if you're willing to pause and wait and say, I'd rather have peace. I'm allowing that divine presence to guide me to make whatever decisions here I need to make from a holy awareness that this divine intelligence has only my best interest at heart. And it doesn't matter what the world may be doing or thinking. It's only what is going on right within me. So there it is. You can get quasi-involved in becoming enlightened. You can enter into a relationship with this divine intelligence in a very casual, really limited way, thinking, well, maybe today I'll do my practice, or maybe not, and so on and so on. Well, if I'm fortunate, God will be with me in this, and I'll pray for that, and I'll pray for this. But you see, you know what that is? That's the difference between a God-conscious relationship and a Boulder relationship. See, in Boulder, you can have all kinds of relationships, but they're not going to be harmonious completely ever, because the illusionary idea of self is ever at work trying to gain advantage in a world where other selves, just as disillusioned, are trying to gain advantage. So it requires a devotion. It doesn't require an insanity. You don't have to wear sackcloth and ashes and shave your head and go sit in the cave in hopes that your meditation is finally going to bring you into heaven. We are karma yogis. We are people who are alchemists. We don't leave the world. We remain in the world, but we're not of the world anymore because we don't think in terms of the definition of the world in terms of separation. We think in terms that I'm in the world and I'm here, I'm taking to task my awareness so that I can bring forth all the divine fruits of the Spirit in all that I do. So, when I'm doing the job that I do, if I catch myself not liking it, then I have to stop and realize this is the work of God. Or if I have people that I really dislike and dislike me, and we have this thing going on, and maybe it winds up in a courtroom, you have to stop at some place along the way and say, well, I don't need this conflict. I'd rather feel peace. I'd rather not go to bed every night worrying about what's going to happen in this relationship. And what you're doing then is you're allowing the divine guidance, the presence of this intelligence, which knows you and blesses you, as a matter of fact, even everybody in the old thinking, illusion-driven world are beloved by God. God has given them permission to think and do the things that they do, knowing that at some point in their evolution, they're going to realize that this stuff just brings more conflict, more difficulties, more problems. And then they're going to start and say, well, maybe I'll try some of this stuff called spirituality. So God isn't going to punish anybody. There's an interesting thing about the punishment that people think God's going to heap upon individuals for doing things that are not in keeping with kindness and love. It's like this. Life is like this. You have a bicycle. You go out and ride your bicycle, but you don't put a chain guard on your pant leg. So you ride it and your pant leg gets caught in the sprocket with the chain, and you tumble over and get all smacked up on the concrete. God or God's angels don't come down and beat you up some more for being stupid. There's the lesson there. Put the guard on your pant leg. You don't get it this time, maybe next time when your pant leg gets caught in the chain again, you tumble again, get all busted up. There's no punishment for being out of touch with the guiding intelligence of the living God. There's no punishment for it. God just says, look, what's happening to yourself? Be awake in the process of living and look at this. You're doing this again. You're doing the same thing you did before, and it's going to wind up the same way. So why don't you do it differently? Why don't you think of it in a different way? Why don't you come forth and start to tune into what it is you'd like to have happen in your life. And then when you come to that, what it is you'd like to have happen in your life, you realize that to have it happen, all I have to do is give it. In order to receive it, I have to give it. I can't wait for other people that are going to do it to me, living in my limited point of view. If I just start to be more considerate, more kind, more open, more involved with the wholeness of life, blessing it, appreciating it, having gratitude for it, then what's going to happen? Tell me what's going to happen. Somebody stand up and say, oh no, it just doesn't work that way. Somebody stand up and say that. There's nobody in the world that can stand up and say that, because underneath it all, you know what I'm saying is true. You know it's true. Now all you have to do is practice it in some kind of focused manner. Whatever you're receiving is because you're still thinking in limited terms if you don't like it. If you want to change it, change the way you think. And when you change the way you think, you'll change what's going to be coming your way. That is the bottom line. That is the universe being totally honorable. Nobody's being picked on. Yes, it may come to the idea of reincarnation, lifetimes. It just seems like one of the great teachers and prophets of our time, Edgar Cayce, related that we have lifetimes. And he said that karma, good or bad, is carried over from lifetime to lifetime. So there may be things that you have that you're dealing with, but there's no time limit on erasing limited conditions. It's only a matter of making up your mind. There's no time limit why you're receiving this limitation in your life, when you can just in any moment decide to become more God conscious. So it is, maybe you did live a life where you did certain things that were really out of touch and out of keeping. And by the way, Judgment Day, according to Edgar Cayce, is not some separate God saying to you, oh, you really messed up, you're going to get it for that. That's not the way it works. He said that the subconscious mind, which is the mind of the soul, when the body is finished and released, the subconscious mind takes stock of the life it lived and decides then and there what it has to do to correct the errors of that life. That's Judgment Day. There's no separate God. It's your own subconscious mind saying, look at how stupid this life was. Got to change it. So then, your next life, your subconscious mind may have decided you've got to get involved in this situation or that condition or something else, or you may need to make amends in this way or that way, but there's no time period involved. At the very time that you recognize this is the way I want to live, by giving all, giving love, being there to serve and love and give peace. As soon as you decide that, whatever it is that was in your subconscious mind that you needed to correct is already corrected. You don't have to say, the subconscious mind to say, you're going to have to spend 10 years doing this. You have to spend 20 years doing that. It doesn't. The subconscious mind said, get in touch with this and see if you can deal with it in a better way. When you deal with it in a better way, it's done. All right, we're going to meditate together. And if you don't have a particular meditation technique, you can use.
We're just going to do the goals to go into it.
What?
The affirmations.
You're going to give the affirmation. All right, so she's going to do a guided meditation tonight. We just have to tune in.
Okay, we're going to focus on each chakra And I'll explain what each chakra represents, and you'll kind of know what you're working on from the description of the chakra. So the first one is the root chakra. It's at the base of the spine. All my needs are already provided for. I am safe and I am loved. Let the sound go to that area. The second chakra is the lower abdomen. I accept my God-given ability to connect with others with warmth and sensitivity. The third chakra is the solar plexus area. I am filled with vitality, trust, and inner security because I am one with God, one with all life. The fourth chakra is the heart area. I am filled with love, kindness, compassion, hope, forgiveness, and peace of mind. The fifth chakra is the throat area. I express kindness, truth, wisdom, loyalty, gentleness to everyone I meet. The sixth chakra is the third eye area. I am filled with an intuitive sense. I am confident in myself and connect to my beingness. The seventh chakra is the crown area. I am filled with wisdom and understanding.
Let us take a few moments to pray for those whose names have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just let this refined awareness of our oneness, which is the healing truth, go forth to that name. See it in the light. Or if you know the person whose name is called, see that person awakening to the light divine within himself or herself.
Sharon Lippy, Michael Naziolek, Michelle Fay, Samantha Naziolek, Daniel and Michael Jr. Naziolek, Sam, Mary Beth Theoroff, and Lloyd, Salisbury family, Bob B. and wife, Marshall Schroeder, Lenore Volt, Lazara Schroeder, Jean Hawkins, Nick D., Stephen Sheets, Lori Park, the soul Mulaney Gardner, Nigel and Austin Gardner, Judith, Buddy, Niley, Gloria, Ruth Pearson, Mark Dubin, Jean, Doug, Janine Nazrise, Gary Schneider, Barry Brink, Emily Brink, Ben Brink, Audrey Brink, Carrie Evans, Steve Webb, the Fisher family, Mike and Joan Martin, Rebecca Emerson, Kimberly Malone, Ann Courtney, Gabby Vivekananthan, Jessica, Janelle, Nicobo, Elizabeth, Asha, Ahmed, Lelia, Yusuf, Ami M., Dan, Tim, Lori Spahn, the sale of 5588 Stonewall, Boulder, Zoe Wilkie, Jean Michael, Del Bigtree and family, all the people in need in the Bahamas, Kyle, Annie and Ivan, the earth, air, water, all of life. You can call out a name at this time if you would like to.
S. Daniel, S. Casey,
Chad. We see the healing lights surrounding the prayer box.
Gail Wagner,
And all the people whose name that have been submitted,
Steve,
we see them healed
Taylor,
physically, mentally, and spiritually. Gail Wagner, Steve.
Let us recognize all minds being in communication. We can send forth this divine awareness, the recognition of that we are all one. And we can do this in relationship to all the people that are living in this Boulder community with us. And recognizing that this divine awareness is moving now in the consciousness of all of those sharing the state of Colorado with us. And it continued to inspire and enlighten everyone in these United States of America and everyone sharing this North American continent. People everywhere tuning into the reality of the oneness and the presence of the benevolent God. And that occurring throughout the nations of the world. And it occurring in the relationships of all creatures everywhere, marine life, mineral life, vegetation, everything being blessed because mankind is awakening to his divine origin, to her divine origin. As we see this light permeating, moving through everyone, sharing the planet Earth, we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. We need 2 more offering takers, please. And 1. As we take our offerings in our hands, let's bless them with this offering statement. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive because I give. Together, please. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive because I give. Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth. The Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen.
Tomorrow